lives 3 days in a row. It's a crazy week. We had Lisa on yesterday, Steph, and it was, I love Lisa Rice. And I think the three of us need to hang out and have coffees or teas or green juices, whatever we want. And I'm just putting this out here. This is the Ninja Creamy ebook. And it says the Ninja Creamy Experience because this one, it says that if you buy the whole experience, but you can get the ebook, which is the only whole food plant-based Ninja Creamy ebook at all for $11.99. And you're like, it's an ebook. How do you have this? It's magic. Actually, Chef Julia told me about it. I printed it out double-sided on my own home printer, which is not super awesome. Took it to Staples and they spiral bound it and put it in like a waterproof cover for like $5. Right? And that's so much cheaper than if I did a print on demand book for you guys. And that's why we're doing it this way. So other than that, how are you guys doing? How's the weather where you are? Does everybody have spring now? Because it's about time. I've got the whole house open. It's only getting to 78 today. Last week it was getting pretty hot. We had to close up the house because we have like a split level. So downstairs, half the house is kind of in the hill, so it stays really cool down there. But there's windows everywhere and clear story windows, so it will boil up. And Angela's here with me. It is awesome to see you. And I don't see everybody's comment, I don't think, because Angela's saying hi to Mona. So if I don't see your comment, put it back in and I will see it. Okay, Marie's here. Awesome, and it's spring. So how about you, Doc Steph? How's it? It's always spring, isn't it, where you are? Or spring or summer?
Totally. But I have to tell you, it has been the weirdest year. It has been, and that's why I have like a jacket on because it has been so overcast and cold, like every day. Like it's been getting up to like 65 at the highest by us right now. And it's just been like, but overcast. So it feels chilly and I'm always cold. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm like ready for it to be warmer. But yeah, it's a little bit chilly for my liking right now, but can't complain. Normally it's always good here. So
it's good to have some change anyhow. Like I had to put on my hoodie while I was outside this morning working. Like it's kind of weird. It was like just at that in between, I wouldn't want to have all my warm clothes on. So I know everybody is super excited or maybe super anxious for this talk. And so I thought how we would do this. First, go ahead and introduce yourself to anybody who you don't know, and then maybe you could go into your general spiel about pans, and then we can do kind of a show and tell. I brought out some pans, and I've looked some things up. So please realize that Dr. Steph is not going to know every single pan, especially the pan that you got on sale at the dollar store or at the thrift store, right? So what I did is this is one I got from Sam's Club that I really love and I really hope is going to make the cut. But I looked it up, so it had a little thing on it, so I looked up the brand and then I'm kind of going through there. Also, I've noticed in looking up a bunch of these, some of them actually like Le Creuset and 360 Cookware have right there what we're made of. So, and I suspect that's a clue for goodness, but Stephanie will tell us all about that. So I'm going to switch to you and let you talk to everybody.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Kathy. And first I want to say, I always love to say thank you for having me on your show. I love doing these monthly lives with you. They're so much fun. You're just so great to chat with for the hour or so that we're on together. And so I appreciate you having me again. And I also want to say I love your shirt. I love cats and I love the Halloween theme. Like that's like my favorite time of year. So like beautiful shirt.
See, awesome. Another reason that we're friends. No, and I love it. I get the cute ones are from Tea Fury and they have all kinds of, they have one that's like, I think it says science is magic. And I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I love it. So, well, thank you for having me. So, okay, so I'll just say a little bit about myself, and then we'll get into the hot topic today about like what it is we're cooking with. Is it good? Is it not good? My name's Dr. Stephanie Peacock. I'm a holistic doctor out of Southern California. I see patients all over virtually. So my practice is 100% virtual, even though I'm based in Southern California. My training is DC, so 4 years of chiropractic school. I got my doctorate in chiropractic, and then went on to work at TrueNorth Health Center, which is a world-renowned water fasting facility in Santa Rosa, California, where I learned all about detoxification. I was actually supervising water fasting patients from 3 to 40 days while I was there. So learned a lot. It was absolutely wonderful. And half the reason I wanted, actually, majority of the reason I wanted to go is because it was a full-on plant-based facility. So I was ready to immerse myself in plant-based nutrition and be surrounded by all the amazing doctors there. But basically, my goal for working with patients and what my passion is I work on root cause gut health, but I bring in a lot of root cause environmental toxins because that is a big missing link in a lot of people's health journeys. And then just working on mystery illnesses too, like that can essentially these environmental chemicals that can be found in the pans that we're about to talk about, and then some of the cleaning supplies we talked about earlier and things like that can, when you start to become exposed to them over time, even if it's in low dose amounts, they can start to clog up your body's ability to detoxify them out. And gut is one of our biggest detoxification pathways alongside the liver, but essentially it can result in a lot of mystery symptoms. So that's really, I had a personal experience with this, which is why I'm so passionate about it. But really, yeah, I bring in that environmental toxin piece and plant-based nutrition piece and all these different fun pieces to help people feel their best. So that's really about what I love to do. And that's what I'm here with Kathy usually every month is we're always talking about some hot topic, what can be in the home that might be causing some of these symptoms or have some chemicals that could impact your health later on.
Well, and it's just fascinating to me too. And so I got my branch kit, and on YouTube there's a video where I unbox it. I haven't gone through and done all the, because I'm going to wait till the pan's burnt and we'll do that. We're going to do little things, but like we've used it some in the laundry. And let's see, can you see that kind of white dispenser there? I got it at Home Goods, and it's a foaming hand dispenser, and it's exactly the same measurement.
Oh, amazing.
So I'm going to get so I can literally pour the branch concentrate in there and fill up with water just like their foaming one. And so I'm going to do something about that too because it's an automatic. So I put my hand under.
So convenient.
I feel so snazzy. And I wanted to ask you one question or just to clarify. So, because I know you do this, but I don't think everyone else does. So in your virtual practice, you also do water fasting or support that. So
yes,
I think one of the things I hear a lot of times, people are trying to save up to go to a place, and this might be, if they can't afford to do that, you could work with Dr. Steph or talk to her and see if that's a thing that you want to do, right? So I just wanted to point that out too. And sorry, the mailman's here. I'm going to go back to you and mute myself.
All right, awesome. All right, so yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Kathy. So I do remote water fasting as well to support the body's detoxification system. So yes, super, super passionate about water fasting and its ability to really tap into our innate healing mechanisms. That's really what fasting does. It promotes autophagy, which is getting rid of old unhealthy cells that can cause inflammation, that can cause symptoms and can cause disease, and then rejuvenating new and rebuilding new stem cells to really just help promote that anti-inflammatory effect in the body. So fasting is absolutely wonderful. It's amazing. It's been around forever. So which is why it's so great. But yeah, so today's topic, we're going to be talking all about like what it is that we're cooking with. And this is really important. Truly, this is one of the first few steps that I take with my patients when we're starting to reduce their toxin exposure to what they're exposed to within the home. Because what we're cooking with is coming into direct contact with our food. So that's really important to make sure that whatever it is that we're cooking with or we're storing our food in, things like that, is toxin free, because it's really, really important. So it's definitely one of the first few things that I actually look to with patients. So really and we'll dive into all of these absolutely. But really, there's all different kinds of chemicals that can get used within our cookware. So I'm going to go ahead and just name a few of them, and then I can name the ones that I do like. Maybe I can name those ones later on. We can talk maybe about the bad ones first, and then you can come in and Kathy and give me some examples of maybe some different cookwares that you have, and we can look into those. But the first one is really anything that is nonstick. This is going to be the biggest one. Like, so for example, Teflon coated, because these contain perfluoroalkyl substances. It stands for PFAS, or otherwise known as PFAS chemicals. Now, this is a class of chemicals that contains over 4,000 different types of chemicals. So that's just kind of an overarching term. But that when you see something that says nonstick, typically it's going to contain those chemicals. And what those chemicals are also known as is they're known as forever chemicals, meaning that the half-life to break down is many, many, many years. So they persist in the environment and in our bodies when we're exposed to them for a very, very long time, and can cause a variety of different health issues. So some of the health issues I'll go into talking about real quick is it's been linked to increasing cholesterol. It's been linked to inflammatory bowel disease, specifically ulcerative colitis. It's been linked to increasing oxidative stress. And it's actually been linked to obesity. And also the last one it's been linked to, I almost forgot to mention this, is that it makes a beeline for our thyroid. So our thyroid controls so many different important things in our body, from metabolism to body temperature regulation to so many different things. And so it's been linked to thyroid issues. And so, that's probably one of the biggest ones that it's been studied for. So PFAS chemicals, very important to try to avoid those when and where possible. And we can go into talking about the different types of pans and how to avoid those and everything like that. But essentially nonstick is where you want to look to. And I see them in air fryers. I see them in air fryers, and then pots and pans really are kind of the two biggest areas that I see the most exposure to. And then the second one is going to be just being careful of cooking with aluminum and copper, because those are, when we're exposed to those in high amounts, they can cause neurological symptoms. High doses of aluminum can actually has been linked to Alzheimer's. So being careful of avoiding anything that is using aluminum in the cookware is going to be important. And that leads me to, yes. Okay,
I was just going to say, everyone's seeing your kitty and they're like, I have a black kitty now. Your cat is on your light sofa. That's a cute cat. Hello, kitty. I just couldn't pass up all that after we just had a kitty conversation. I know I'm interrupting you for no good reason, but.
Any reason to interrupt me is never going to be a bad reason, that's for sure. But that's a great reason, because I love him. That's Samson. He's a little Russian blue. Yes, I just love him so much.
He's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
He's like my child. I love him.
I'm going to interrupt you with a question too. While I've got you interrupted already. Because the information is great, and I just found out too, because I'm going to be kind of looking on the websites and stuff. So my favorite pan, it even says it's great the way they're disclosing it, but it says for Colorado residents, which I guess you have to disclose it in Colorado. Maybe it's a state law or something. Don't know, but that's what they said, that they do intentionally add PFAS. And
for which one is this one?
This is the Tremontina.
Okay.
And maybe we can talk a little bit about nonstick, because this is the one I was kind of hopeful that it could work. I'm pretty sure the Teflon and some of these others are totally not okay. But maybe the ceramic coatings usually have it as well. What if a ceramic coating says it doesn't have PFAS? Is there something else we should also look for?
Yes, so there's two things when it comes to ceramic coating. So the first one is usually it's coated over something. Usually what it's coated over is something called a Sol gel, which is SOL-GEL, and that's an aluminum core. So when you're heating up the element, right, especially if the pan has been scratched, then you're getting exposed to more of that aluminum that can get released into it. The second part of it, though, actually there's three parts to it. Okay, so that's the first part is the aluminum core that it's coated over. So whenever anything says ceramic coated, that's usually where I start to. I usually actually don't recommend ceramic coating for that. That's one of the reasons. The second reason is that it usually their marketing is saying that they don't use a type of perfluoroalkyl substance called PFOA. They usually say, "Yo, we don't use PFOA." They actually stopped using that back in 2015 because of the amount of health effects that it was causing that I was just mentioning earlier with all the metabolic issues. But what they're actually using now is something called PTFE, which is still a perfluoroalkyl substance. But there hasn't been enough research to show, there hasn't actually been any research to show what the health effects of that are, but it is a type of PFAS, which is that non-stick, forever chemical. So for that reason, I still recommend against buying ceramic coated. And then the third part about it is that usually ceramic or ceramic coating will have heavy metals. So that's the other part of it, is that whatever ceramic coating that you want to buy, just making sure that the company is using third-party testing, because that's when they will show you the levels of PFAS, they will show you the levels of heavy metals, and they will explain if there's any aluminum or copper that's being used in the pan. And so there is only one ceramic pan that I have ever recommended, because they are the only one that show third-party testing and they use natural resources. It's called, oh gosh, I'm totally having, hold on one second, let me pull it up, because I'm actually having a total, oh no, I remember now. It's called Extrema. It's with an X and then TREMA. They're 100% ceramic. There's no ceramic coating, and they have third-party testing. They're an absolutely wonderful company, and their cookware is just phenomenal. They have all different kinds of stuff, and they usually have great discounts, and Memorial Day is coming up too, so they're probably going to have a really awesome discount for the weekend coming up. So I would definitely check them out.
That sounds great. And let me see if I'm going to go overhead for a second. And then I'm going to see if I can show you. This is the site. Okay, so sorry, you're seeing my Rakuten, how I get my 2% back from things. So it even says on the very first page, no toxins, no coatings, no maintenance. And so I just want to see, and they have a sale. What do they have on sale right now? A Memorial Day, 20% off site-wide, plus an extra 20% off of that 20%. Yeah, and it doesn't look like any ceramic I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They're the only brand I've come across that's good. And I think, to be honest, everyone else that's in the health space that talks about the stuff that I do, like the environmental chemicals, has always recommended this one as well. I've never seen anyone else recommend another type of ceramic, because there are other brands that are ceramic coated that are so great at marketing. So I actually listed them here because I didn't want to forget to name them. But so Our Place, Caraway, Green Pan, Hexclad, All Clad Nonstick, and ScanPan, all those ones I would definitely recommend against, because they're using a lot of the ceramic coating type stuff, and there's no third-party testing to indicate like what's in their products. So
Yep.
I would recommend using those kind. Yeah.
And I would assume, I would put Kevlar, even though I'll see if they say what they're made out of. It's anodized something.
Yeah. So I actually pulled them up. Let me see if I can find what they're used
Okay.
for, because I know. So I do see that they're saying it says hard anodized nonstick cookware. So again, whenever anything says nonstick, it's not necessarily meaning it's using Teflon. They're probably not, because it looks like they have good quality stuff. But again, what is the nonstick? Because something gives it that nonstick, right? So something from that PFAS family. So that's usually where I kind of start to gear towards it. And a lot of companies, so they're either using that new version of perfluoroalkyl chemicals called PTFE, or they're using something called Gen X, which again is still in that family. So we don't know, there's still no data on it. So again, it's probably better than going to buy like a typical Teflon pan, but it might not be the best option, right? So again, yeah, like, how we always talk
Yeah.
about that rating system, like it's probably like, maybe it's a B minus, a C plus, definitely not F like Teflon, but it would be like a B plus or an A minus, you know what I mean? So it's probably somewhere in that middle ground, I would think.
Okay, that makes sense. And I do have a green pan that I brought up, and I was pretty sure that was going to be like it was. I think I've had this pan for like 14 years. So at the time, it was new. And one thing, okay, and no one's saying anything in the comments. Maybe everybody else is all on top of this and it's just me. But so there's certain things that I need a nonstick something for. So I'm going to look at these other pans. The other thing for me, I need a nonstick pan that can go on induction because of classes. So I may be special in that. That's why I love this, because it's a huge pan. It's great for teaching classes. Now, I'm being really careful about only using wood utensils or silicone utensils. Like if I'm whisking, I'm using a silicone whisk, if that makes sense, so that I'm not getting any scratching on here.
No, that's great. I love that you brought that up. I want to touch on that because you saying that, it's important for you for your cooking classes and everything. I will say that the Extrema pans are really fabulous for cooking. I've used them for a while now. A lot of my good friends, like I have a good friend named Stacy Heine. Her company called the Urban Pharmacy. Yeah, she's actually an affiliate with this company, and she's always doing cooking classes, and she's a holistic nutritionist, and she's always doing cooking classes with them too. So I know she gets great results, and like it's easy to use. So I would recommend just maybe like trying it out too. But that's a great point that you brought up about the stick. I'm sorry, the scratching, because whenever a Teflon or a nonstick pan has a scratch in it, it's actually the research came out last year. It actually releases up to 9,000 PFAS microplastic particles that get released into the food. So the difference between having a scratched nonstick versus a non-scratched nonstick.
I'm showing them the overhead of my scratched up nonstick pan that I've had for a very long time.
So there you go. So it's like the scratched versus the non-scratched there's a big difference even there. So, it's again, like maybe like picking, choosing your battles. I know your cooking classes are super hard, like important, obviously. So, maybe just kind of, working with the non-scratched ones.
Right. Well, and that was one I was planning on throwing away or giving away. Usually I give away everything. And then when it comes to this, then I have the moral dilemma, right? Like, is it a bad thing? But then I think if someone has nothing to cook in, this is better than nothing to cook in.
Totally.
I'm with you on that. But I'll have that trauma all by myself. I won't make you take that decision. And I know people are mentioning scan pans, and then I did want to mention some pans that I've been really liking, which are these 360. They're very thick. They remind me of scan pans. They do vapor locking, so you can cook on lower heat.
Oh, that's great.
And
I love stainless steel.
Yeah, it's 100% stainless steel. They list everything. And what I love, and I showed this to Dr. Steph right before here, you can get it with a slow cooker bottom. Now, these are just as expensive as scan pans. So these are like a couple $100s for a pan, but like this is a pan that I couldn't have bought in my 20s, but I wish I could have, because then I just would have never had to replace a bunch of pans. So I actually, and I'm an affiliate, and in the YouTube notes, I do have a link to the scan pan, not scan pans, 360 cookware.
Yeah.
But I've had the 4-quart for this for at least 10 years, and I've used it off and on. And it's a little different than a regular slow cooker. It has 1 through 4. So if I put grits in the morning and put it on 4, they're ready in like an hour. So I can go and do my stuff. And one of the things, and we'll probably have to talk about this another time. Maybe we'll have part 2 where we can talk about all the ceramic pans and baking dishes and slow cooker stuff.
And maybe utensils too. We could talk about like or cutting boards and, things like that, like all the utensils.
Ooh.
We could totally have like, 'cause cutting boards is a whole other thing we could dive into as well. So yeah, we could make like a whole kitchen thing. Like we'll just pick an area and it'll be a series.
Oh, I love it. I love it because it's so informative. And I know when I was doing slow cooker stuff, because that's what my first two books were in, is that everybody was asking me if there was lead in these people's coatings, and I can't tell you, and most of them don't list it. You can email them and you may or may not find out. So, or I think since then, because that was in 2010, I have seen some companies that will say we do not use lead in our ceramic glaze. But if you're having some issues that you're trying to weed out all these toxins and you don't know, like I have some old slow cookers too. So I am using this, and it is like a $250, $300 slow cooker option. So again, I want to be real clear because I don't want you to think that I'm trying to make you change and get this super expensive thing. If you are looking for something that has these, this is the only one I know about that works really well. I think All-Clad may have a stainless steel slow cooker, but I don't know what the insert is.
And that's the brand 360, that slow cooker?
Yeah, 360 Cookware. And what's kind of cool, because I've gone through two different things. They had the nesting ones that had a 2, 4, and 6 quart, because I love that because then they nest together. Well, they stopped making that, so if you get it, it's like $150 for something that cost me like $50. Then they had one that was 1, and you could change it to recognize it was 2, 4, 6 quarts of food in there and cook properly. Well, they stopped making that. So when I became an affiliate with 360, because I already had the 4 quart, I went ahead and got the 6 and 8 quart that fit on here. And I could still use these on the stove and in the oven. It's just like the 8 quart has a little more of a gradient down to a smaller part. But I've cooked them. I used it on the stove just fine, and because it's got a stainless lid, you can put it in the oven like a Dutch oven. It really holds in
That's awesome.
that steam. So yeah, I've been pretty happy. And again, that's not me saying anything negative against Scam Pans. I just don't have them right now to test. And I think you should look into them, and I think that you might want to partner with them as well.
Yeah, well, that's really great because it's a slow cooker that's 100% stainless steel. Like that's right. So you said that's amazing because So earlier I did mention the Scan Pan. They actually use that Gen X chemicals. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
let me double check on 360 and see if I can find it anywhere there while you're talking.
Yeah. So that's they're using the PTFE, like a part of the PFAS chemicals, and then some of them use the Gen X. So that's why. So earlier I did mention that, but it sounds like if yours is 100% stainless steel, it's probably fine. So I'm sure.
Okay, let me put this up, and I'm not sure if you're going to see it, so I'll read it to you. Let's go back to the overhead and to the screen. So this is on the 360 website, and so this is under, I forget how I got here, but it's the construction of our cookware. And so it says every piece is made with 3 primary metals that are bonded together with a 0.110 gauge of thickness. The inside layer or cooking surface is T304 surgical grade stainless steel, 1818. And that's chromium and nickel, 18% chromium and 8% nickel. The outside layer that sits on the burner is T400 series stainless steel, which has a lower nickel content and a high carbon steel content to interact with induction cooktops. 2 layers of stainless steel to surround a layer of aluminum. The aluminum does not touch your food, but ensures superior heat conduction. So, and it's very thick. Like, I could probably take a hammer to this and not get to that aluminum layer. And then
it sounds like it's, yeah, go ahead.
There's, like, they're so detailed. This is the only one that's this detailed. It's like, And then they're talking about their bakeware. So they have all stainless bakeware as well. And it's
Oh,
0.07 gauge of thickness, which is designed at 10T304. So it gives you all that's pretty much the same. Chemical-free coating. Do you know why our stainless steel cookware pans do not stick? We use a dry sanding process on all our products so as to give them a non-porous surface. No more chemical coatings. Our cookware and bakeware is always PFAS, PFOS, PFOA, and PTFE free. So it doesn't say anything about Gen X.
good.
But
And those are the big ones, by the way. Those are usually those ones that those four that were listed there that will get used usually. So yeah, that's really great to hear.
okay, cool. And again, I'm still learning this right now along with you. I just knew stainless steel is good, and I'm very curious because they have baking sheets, they have loaf pans, they have everything.
Oh
And
yeah,
so they pots and pans and everything else. And they just did like a second sale that I missed that was like things were half price. So if it's something you're interested in and you want to do something like that, then maybe, I know it was April, May-ish. And I don't know if they do it more than once a year. So
okay. No, that's great. Yeah. So I, again, like, yeah, talking about like the good cookware and stuff, like I've always recommended like the, like stainless steel. I love like food grade stainless steel. That's 1810. But I love like stainless steel in general is just like, I like you're good to go. Like when it comes to that usually. So that's always like kind of an easier one. I think when I tell people like my patients, I'm like, all right, well, like here are like the few things that I recommend. Like I recommend that Extrema, which is that 100% ceramic. That's the only ceramic one I'll ever recommend. So I say that's a great option. And that's great for people as well that are really strict on being as oil free as possible, because I think it's the easiest way to cook oil free. So that's really great. And then stainless steel, 100% stainless steel, like the food grade version. I love that. And I actually really love, what is it? Cast iron. So cast iron is actually really great too. And yeah, yes, I have one like that too. I love, like, I have a mini one and then I have a big one, and they're so convenient and wonderful. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yes, I'm a huge fan. And you know what's great about those as well, because when we start to try to make switches to better things, right? It can feel so overwhelming, but because of the expense, the price tag that might come along with it. And so I think what I love about cast iron is that it's relatively inexpensive compared to, like, I mean, you can get a cast iron pot for like $30 or $40, or like even one for like $20, like a smaller one, and that's like pretty good compared to like buying a whole stainless steel set that could be like $200 or something like that, so I think that's a really great one. My personal two favorite brands are going to be Lodge and Field cast iron. And the Lodge is a little bit cheaper than Field. But the one thing I will mention when it does come to cast iron is that a lot of them will come pre-seasoned. And when they do come pre-seasoned, a lot of them will use soybean oil, which is pretty inflammatory. So the reason I recommend the Field one is because they'll use organic grapeseed oil. And then the Lodge, some of them don't even come pre-seasoned. And if they don't, you can use your own oil to season it. And then for that, I usually just recommend using like an organic avocado oil or something, like a small amount, just to season that up. Because if you're then cooking with it, we know that cooking with oils, a lot of oils can create a lot of oxidation, and which will then lead to oxidative stress in the body, which just means it's damaging our cells and our DNA. So avocado oil can actually be heated at high temperatures and be okay. So that's usually where I'll recommend, if you're seasoning your pans, try to use more avocado oil than other types of oils. But that was kind of the main thing I want to mention with the cast iron, is they can come pre-seasoned. And so that's where the brands kind of come into play there. And then, or you could buy them non-seasoned as well.
I love that. Now we've got a few questions. Surprise. Okay, so let's see. Mona says I have my mother's stainless steel from about 50 years ago when stainless steel was thick and real. And I think there's still some you can get that's good.
Hmm.
Let's see. Joanne loves her scan pans. Kelly is asking, is carbon steel okay?
Yes, that was the fourth one that I was going to recommend. So the four I recommend are the 100% ceramic, the 100% stainless steel, cast iron, and then the carbon steel. Those are my favorite.
And Kelly's saying, I use Meisen's non-PFAO non-stick, which is this one. So it's like got a blue handle. And I will
Okay.
say, I've had this for quite some time, and here, I'll show you guys just from, let's see if I put you back on the site. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
Don't ask me again. It keeps asking me things. So it's really not scratched up at all. And I've had it for a very long time. And so she's going to let us know. And she said she sent him an email to see about third-party testing.
Yeah,
And
third-party testing. And I would also ask about what it's coated over. So again, usually when it has like that non-stick coating, it's coated over something. Usually it's an aluminum or like maybe like even a silicone type of gel, which when we know that's heated at high temperatures can leak harmful particles into our food. So that's just something else to just double check what they're coated over.
yeah, and I'm looking to see if I know on the description it just says PFOA free, which was what you were saying doesn't really make any difference. I mean, it's not
It's
used anymore. So it's not that it doesn't
exactly.
matter, but it doesn't really give us the answer that we want. Let's see if I go all the way.
Exactly. The question really arises, well, what is it that they're using to achieve that? Because anything from the PFAS family, which is 4,000 or so chemicals, can be used to achieve that. So and usually they're either using something called PTFE, which is a type of PFAS, or they're using Gen X. Those are kind of the two things that we're starting to see that is the nonstick. But there's just not enough research to show you. So I wouldn't be able to tell you definitively, oh, stay away. But I would say, maybe until something comes out to recommend purchasing those types of things. If you already have them, then okay, but maybe just to steer clear and maybe go for the cast iron or something like
So
that.
I went into the facts and then I clicked on nonstick cookware for anybody who has them and wants to look. So it is PTFE based, just like the other one. And there's some other things that, it's an aluminum base as well. But I feel like this coating has done better than some other coatings, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to make something be on the good side. We're talking, like you're saying, we're talking about the in-betweens, just for anybody who's watching this. So I think the absolute worst is scratched up Teflon with an aluminum base. I think we can agree on that. And the absolute best is probably surgical grade thick stainless steel. Would that be a...
Totally. Yes. So you're completely right. And that's the point I love to bring up every time. It's like, it's important to not freak out too much over what you have. And if you have something that like might be just a little bit better, it's like not straight up Teflon, right? Or it's even worse, scratched up Teflon. But you also have like, that coating, that's definitely better. And then again, like, yeah, the best end of the spectrum will be those four that I mentioned. So the 100% ceramic Extrema pan, the carbon steel, cast iron, and then, the stainless steel. So those will be like the four best ones. And then I will say, I think you said something earlier about, someone commented about having their mom's old stainless steel set, which is awesome. And I will say that I do know a couple brands that have really great stainless steel as well. Like another one, like I purchased mine from Cuisinart. They had like a really great, like full on stainless steel set, and their testing was great. So I know other practitioners that recommend that as well. So that's where we got ours from. So if someone's looking into getting a new set if they want to or something, I know they're really great. There's other ones out there as well, but that's the one that I personally bought a few years ago.
Oh, I love that. And I'm really I like these 360 cookware pans a lot. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an affiliate, because I wouldn't have been an affiliate if I didn't really, really like them. Do you know what I mean? So just, and again, the one thing I'm scared of, I will tell you this now, because I make dosas. And
Yeah.
and actually, we rented a place in Asheville a couple of years ago, and I brought dosa batter, and they only had stainless steel. and it just did not work. I couldn't even make an Udapom just because the whole bottle, because doses you're making, basically it's like this big crepe. And
Yeah.
so I do use these two big nonstick pans when I do that. But again, like this one's the Calphalon one, which I think is probably not quite as good, but again, it's not scratched up.
Yeah.
So like, do you have a way of doing something like that? Like, or is there a way to prepare the stainless steel pans that would, it seemed like when
No.
360 was talking about their cookware, they've done, or with the bakeware, like the sheet pans and stuff, they've done something with that to make it not stick.
Yeah, so I'm just actually looking up. I think I know of a good, like maybe like kind of like a crepe type of use thing. I'm seeing if I can find it,
Okay.
but yeah, I know when it comes to the stainless steel, like at least when I cook with it, I know you need to like kind of heat it up over like a low temperature and let it kind of heat up for like 5 or so minutes, right? And then if you put some water in there and the water like just starts like bubble away like really quickly, then you know that it's ready to be used. And so that's a really great way is like making sure, because I know when I'm getting ready to cook food, I'm impatient, I'm hungry. So I'm just throwing everything in there and I'm like, I'm burning the pan and I'm like, oh, bummer. So I know like, but when I do wait and I have the patience to wait, let it heat up, and then I throw the drops of water on, and then they kind of like do this, like they bubble across the top really quickly. Like they don't just like evaporate. They actually, you'll see it do this bubbling effect, like all across the pan. That's when you know the stainless steel is like ready to be used. So that's always an option. And again, I know that 100% ceramic will be a good one as well for that. And then I have made like, I've never made crepes on it, but I've done like pancakes on cast iron, and I've had like really good results with that too. And like I have a big cast iron pan, so I've had great results with that. So maybe just yeah, like having it properly seasoned, and then waiting for it to heat up enough might be a good option for that too. But let me see if I can find
But I
something
like
just
that. And if you want to, if you find it later, you can just send it to me, email it to me, and I'll put it up on the YouTube so everybody else. And if you guys,
Okay.
I'm behind on comments, so if somebody may have already told me, but if you want to tell me how you've done it, that's great too. Someone else said forged aluminum, 5-piece Curtis stone. And then someone else said, if something is stainless steel, can we trust it completely? And I think your answer, tell me if I'm wrong, is that as long as the stainless steel is thick enough that you're not getting to the aluminum core where it would touch your food, stainless steel is great.
I would say that. So actually, I prefer the stainless steel that doesn't have that aluminum core. But if it does have a thick enough amount, I would say that that's better for sure. Like I would rate that like in the B range for sure. But the best of the best is going to be like 100% stainless steel where it doesn't have any core or anything like that, and that's going to be food grade 18/10 is going to be like the best type that you can use, and the Cuisinart is actually that one. So that's the best. But again, yeah, like, but I will say though, like in general, like if it's a stainless steel pan, that's going to be so much better than using like a Teflon pan, right? So that's a
Okay.
step up, like for sure,
And
especially
that,
if it's not too bad.
that's great. And Mona's saying, at 67 years old, unlikely I'm buying new pans, and that's okay. Because like then what you can do is if you see that you have something Teflon or nonstick that is scratched, that would be something you want to at least get rid of. And if you have some that's in good shape, like I'm seeing, some of mine, I've gotten rid of some of mine that was not, because, but the key is don't let other people be messing with your pans. Is key one. And if you can't do that, only have like plastic spatulas or silicone spatulas or something. And I know that may or may not be the best thing in the long run, but like we can talk about that later, the lesser of two poisons, because I know you're not supposed to heat that up. But if I'm just sticking it under a pancake and flipping it over, I feel like that's less worse than the aluminum coming into contact.
Than like baking with, yeah, that, or even like when it comes to silicone, like baking with it at such a high temperature, like where it can leach into food too. Like I think we talked about that maybe the first chat I was on or something. But yeah, like definitely like what you're saying, It's so true. It's the lesser of all the evils, right? It's like doing what you can where you can. So it's like, you have like pans that you've had for a long time and you're just cooking with them. Like, fine, that's great. Like there's always other areas that you can, even just like upping your nutrition intake, right? Like if you're eating a variety of like wonderful plant-based foods, like you're doing your body so much good by supporting your detox pathways and by supporting your body's ability to fight any damage that can occur from oxidative stress from any chemicals we come into contact with. And that's the whole point. We have these detox organs and these different things in our body to help support, right? And the nutrients from foods are ultimately what support that. So again, yeah, it's like doing what you can, where you want to, and then, the lifestyle changes, like the good foods and getting in some movements and, some breath work, meditation, things like that. All that stuff is so important.
Well, no, and I totally agree. And again, just for anyone who may have been joining in as we've been kind of talking about this, one of the things that I love about doing this monthly show with Dr. Steph is that she, like me, understands this continuum of things, and that yes, it does. Maybe you can't buy a $200 slow cooker. That's okay. There are other things you can do. However, since we're focusing today on these things and getting that information out, and actually let me get where my face is on too. What I want you to do is not panic, because I'm trying not to panic too. So trust me, I'm there with you. And that's also why I'm showing my pan, so that you're not just like, oh, Kathy's got it all figured out. No, I'm learning this stuff right around with you. And this pan, and I'm going to be watching for scrapes and stuff, but I probably will still use this in class while I maybe find some other things to replace it with and things like that. So this is not about you have to get everything out and go buy new things, right? And also, don't forget that there's like buy nothing groups in your area. We have something in Durham called Bull City Shares, because we're the Bull City, and some buy nothing groups. And a lot of times if you say, hey, I'm looking for an X, someone may have a stainless steel pan that they don't use that they might give you. It can't hurt. Or you can even offer a trade. Maybe you just got a bunch of new nonstick pans and someone else hates their stainless steel pan. So don't forget about those less expensive options as well. And if you can't get this fancy slow cooker, but you can be around, you can have a Dutch oven. Just like have a big pot, put it in your oven, cook it slowly while you're there all day. So just, yeah. So now Kelly's saying, what about the extra iron you get from cast iron?
Yes, I was wondering if someone would ask that question. So, great question. So, if somebody is, because iron, so whenever we have any like vitamins or minerals or things in our body, there's always going to be like a set point where it's good for you. Like that's what you want. You don't want it to be too low and you don't want it to be too high, right? So it goes with even something like vitamin D. Like vitamin D is great for us, but when we have really high amounts, it can cause toxic symptoms. So same thing with iron. Now, when it comes to the cast iron, this is where actually it is good to know, like, get regular blood work or just know like what your iron levels might be. Because if you do have like really good, like, or normal high, like iron levels, it might not be the best option for you because we can get iron that leaches into the food. Now, for somebody that might have lower iron, then using cast iron is actually a really great way to increase iron intake into your food. And for me, I actually tend to run on the lower iron side. So cast iron is really great for me to use. And so that's why I love to use it. And it's really great for me. And another thing too, I will mention about iron, if somebody here is looking to increase their iron intake, cast iron's great. Another one is called Lucky Fish Iron. It's actually like,
I wondered I've heard of it. And it's like a little iron fish that you put in your stew. It's so cute.
It is so cute. I love my Lucky Iron Fish, and I'll use it like when I make broths, and then I'll like make it so that way it's already in the broth. So then when I like make a soup or something, it's already in there. So that's a really great way and an easy way to increase iron intake as well. And that's what I personally use, and I'll recommend that for my patients that are having a little bit of a struggle, maybe getting some iron in. So because it can be hard, because plant-based foods, like there's a variety of plant-based foods that have really rich iron sources, but sometimes it can be hard to try to track and make sure you're getting all these varieties of types of iron rich foods in. So it's an easy way to get it in.
I love that. I can't believe that little fish came into my head because I read an article about it so long ago. Um,
Yeah.
Dee is saying titanium? Question mark. I don't know
Like
anything about it.
Yeah, titanium dioxide can actually be toxic when if that's what she's referring to, that and that can be found in certain pans, and that can also be found in like certain products that we use as well. So yeah, so that I usually recommend if that's found like in a product to just steer clear of that usually.
And Justine saying, wish I had known this before I bought my last set. Feel like it would be tough to switch it all out now. My nonstick pan set is only a couple of years old. And again, you know, knowledge is power, but everything
Hmm.
that we find out about, like for the Ninja Creamy, it'd be great if I turned my freezer down. No, no, I'm not turning my freezer down. So therefore, I will do the things that make up for that. And so just think of it that way. And Kelly says she only uses wood or silicone utensils, and that's pretty much what I do as well, just because of the scratching and from like all it would take is for me to have a metal spatula for every single pan I have to be ruined.
I
It
know,
just
right?
takes one person.
It does. It does.
And
And
Ravens,
and I just want to mention really quickly that I love that you're mentioning that even with yourself, right? You're learning, and I'm still learning too. Like, there's always new things that are coming out, and I'm not Miss Perfect over here. Like I had so many different kinds of things I was cooking with and things like that. And I've slowly just replaced things over time, when things got like scratched and then I replaced it. So it really is about like doing what you can where you can, because if you start to try to switch out everything and anything that is in your house, like I mean that's that adds up in money, but also you go mentally insane because you're just like, oh my god, there's so many things. So it's about like just being aware, like you said, knowledge is power, being aware of what you can switch out, and then keeping that in mind so that by the time you're ready to make the change, you have the knowledge to know what's best for you, and then you can make that switch.
and I think that's so good because like it's the same thing as being vegan, and I talk about this a lot because like there's some things you have control over and some things you don't have control over, and like it, even if you get a car with vegan seats, sometimes there's animal products used in tires. Like so you can make yourself absolutely insane, and you could go live in the middle of the desert and cook in your little coconut over the fire or something. So we don't have to do that. We're not wanting anyone to do that for sure. Um,
Point.
Another question is, Raven says, Great Jones says, the bakeware I have is aluminized steel and our custom non-stick, non-toxic ceramic coating. I don't see anything about third-party testing. So you'd probably need to email them. And she wants to know, what chemical names should we look to avoid in silicone bakeware? And that's one, I'm going to come on here too. That made me sad too. So basically what Dr. Steph was saying is silicone should not go in the oven.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be heated up for long periods of time. That's why I think flipping a pancake, doing a little stir fry, there's very little time.
Yeah.
But if I'm
Yeah.
right, and I think that in not scraping these other things and getting those toxins, that's how it evens out for me. But I was very sad because a lot of people in the whole food plant-based community now are using the nonstick muffin pans and things like that. What I've done for mine is I've transitioned to more freezing in them and then popping them out, like making soup and stuff like that.
Yes. Great.
And using, because you can get the unbleached paper, like I want to call them
Parchment.
cupcake things, but you know what I'm talking about?
Oh. Mhm. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Liners,
Like yeah.
muffin pan liners.
Yep. So I love, that's great. So yeah. So essentially, when you're heating the silicone up at high temperatures, it's starting to release like silica particles that have been known to cause oxidative stress. But when you're not heating it up, you're not actually getting any of that leaching into the food that you're using. So that's why heating it isn't the best option. It's best to use what Kathy said, like maybe, you can use it instead, use that for like, freezing or putting in the fridge or things like that, which is wonderful. or you could use unbleached parchment paper or things like that. Like that's what I use. Like, and so it'll look like brown, and that's kind of what you can use. I can't remember the brand that I use, but usually any brand will be fine with that. And
I
they make
think
like
at Whole
cupcake ones
Foods
too.
and Sprouts, and sometimes at Home Goods too, you can find the unbleached ones, because chances are, if you're going to this degree, thinking about all the things, you're probably
Yeah,
thinking about not having bleach in the paper.
totally. Yeah. So exactly like you said, I found mine at Whole Foods, or you can order online or something. So yeah, so that's what I'll usually use.
Okay, a couple more questions. Justine says, I think my Ninja Foodie insert pot is ceramic coated. It probably is. So it's like an Instant Pot air fryer, but it's the Ninja brand. So it is a nonstick coating. Are there any concerns about cooking ceramic under pressure? That's a great question.
Oh, cooking ceramic under pressure. So I don't actually understand the question. Do you mean
Ah,
like put
so
it?
it's a pressure cooker. So since
Oh,
there's
okay.
extra pressure on it from the pressure cooker setting, is there anything
Okay.
else you need to worry about? Because that's different than cooking on the stove.
Yeah, I don't actually know, and I wouldn't think so. I think really the biggest piece of it is the heat element. So how much heat is there, and then what's again, if it's ceramic coated, what's the core that's underneath it? Usually is that aluminum core, or and then what's in that ceramic coating as well. So those are really the big pieces for me. I think if it checks out, I would say that the pressure piece of it is probably not a big deal. That's what I would think.
Okay, awesome. And one thing that we have not talked about yet is Le Creuset, and I have one. And so I've gotten some Le Creuset actually at the thrift store. So I think I got this for like $5. It's one of my
Oh my God.
favorites.
So I actually don't know that brand. So what
Oh.
like is it made out of?
Okay, so this is old school. This has been around forever. Let me see if I can find
Okay,
on,
thank you.
because I had
No.
looked it up. Here we go. And let me come back, and I'll let everybody else see it too. Briefly, there we go. Okay, so enameled cast iron is what it is. It's been around since 1925, so it's an icon. It is an iconic cookware brand. Many people have it. Um, Everyday durability, vibrant enamel, care and use.
So
Maybe. Let's see if I
yeah,
can.
so I actually know a lot about enameled cast iron. So yeah, so I just didn't know the type what that was made out of. So thank you for looking up like what it was made out of. Because yeah, so I know it's like there's so many brands I can't keep up with them. So when it's enameled cast iron, it's porcelain that's made from clay, and usually it has heavy metals and aluminum in them. So that's where you want to make sure that there's a third party testing with that brand. I don't know if that brand has third party testing. So if it has third party testing to show it doesn't have those in there, that's good. But I would say the majority of ones that I've seen usually do. But I don't know. I've never seen that brand, so maybe they probably, if they're a well known one, they probably have the third party testing.
I'm gonna look
But
while we're talking.
okay,
And through the
yeah,
facts and stuff. But I don't know. It's very popular in all of the cooking communities, not just here. So
okay,
it's a French brand. Um,
okay, yeah, it's really nice. Like it's really cute. So yeah, but
yeah, I don't know that let's see. I just returned to all the frequently asked questions are about ordering general product information. Okay, here we go. Yeah, no, that tells me nothing. It says we use the highest quality raw materials. That tells me nothing. Um,
yeah, and if it
yeah.
doesn't say anything, this is again going to be one of those good instances where emailing just to double check and see like, can you provide me with your, it's called a certificate of analysis. That's what the third party testing is. So you can say, can you provide me with your third party testing or the certificate of analysis? And generally what you want to see on those pieces of paper that they'll provide you with, or when they email it to you, is that they used a third-party lab to test it, which means that they're not putting any of their bias into it, right? Being like, oh, we tested it and it was great. So that's where you want the third-party testing. And then the second thing is the date. You want to make sure that it was within the last at least 6 months that they're continuously testing their products, because they're always making new products. So you always want to make sure that they're continuously testing. And then the third thing again is seeing the heavy metals there. So seeing the heavy metals and and if possible aluminum and also the PFAS as well. You always want to make sure that's on there.
Okay. So I'll see what I can find out if anybody else knows. Yeah. So that's a little disappointing. But
I'm sorry. I know. I feel like I always joke with my husband. I could totally bring anyone down in a party. I'm I feel like I know all these, and I won't say anything unless someone asks me. But yeah, I'm sorry. I hope that one does check out for you, because you said it's very well established in the cooking community and you love it. So I hope it works out.
It's so when you look at certain brands, in all of the food community outside of that, Le Creuset is a collector's item too. So people collect them and do all things because it's been around. There's all the different colorways and things like that, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be, tested and things like that. Let's see what else we have here. I know we've got you for just a few more minutes. Kathy wants to know, Cuisinart has so many product lines. What is the name of the one that you bought that's all stainless steel?
Oh, sure. Let me just pull it up really quickly, and then I can let you know.
And I can read a couple of things that don't necessarily need your attention, so you can have a break. Raven says, oh, I was a little late. I missed the silicone discussion before. That's so sad. I just switched out my multiple muffin pans and mini loaf pans from the nonstick metal to silicone. And Raven, I did too. I'll tell you that. And so I'm repurposing mine for freezing things in little blocks and portion out things. She said, thank goodness for liners and parchment paper. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Is there a way I can input the link of can I do that on here? Or if not, I can just read it out loud.
If you read it out loud, I'll type it in and then see if I can give it to people.
Okay, so yeah, it's called the Cuisinart Multi-Clad Pro Triple Ply, PLY. And let me know when you're ready for the next piece of it.
Actually, I'm just going to look it up and see if I can find.
Oh, okay.
Are you looking on their site in particular?
I'm actually on Amazon.
Okay.
I actually went on. It's on Amazon. Yeah. So yeah, it's Cuisinart.
I got it.
Oh, and then it'll say silver MCP-12N.
And yeah, it's exactly the one that I came up with. Ooh, get away from there.
Oh.
So I'm on their site at Cuisinart.com, and I'm going to leave this up for a minute. So if you guys want to take a picture, you can do a screenshot of your computer or phone. If you're on a Mac, you can do Command-Shift-3. I forget what it is when you're on a PC because it's been so long. But I'll leave that up too on mine. So I'll see if I can come back and put a link into it. I'll go back to you now. And let's see. Okay, and Justine says, does parchment paper protect you if using non-stick cookie sheets?
If it's leaching, the parchment paper is so thin. So if it's able to leach into the food, which is what we've seen, then I'm assuming it's making its way through that, and then we'll still get into the food that you're using. So yeah, I think it would. I mean, I can't give you a definitive answer, but I would speculate that probably, yeah, it would.
Justine, if it makes you feel any better, I'm going to have to get rid of all mine too, all my sheet pans. And I'm so mad. I've got to go look at 360 because I almost got a sheet pan, but I was like, do I need a stainless steel sheet pan? And it just seemed like no, because I have 6 sheet pans. And sometimes, and this is going to make you cringe, I have used silicone nonstick things on top of that and baked my cookies. that were
That's
made
funny.
with chickpeas from a can of chickpeas.
Oh my God, you are just checking all the boxes for me. Just kidding.
I know. And you guys are
I'm
like,
kidding.
no wonder you have some issues now. But
Oh
so,
no,
no,
never. Oh
no,
my God.
one
You
can
know,
of something isn't going to cause anything.
yeah, totally. And I actually have I will send you I'm writing down all the stuff that like we talked about this time so I don't forget to send you. I'll send you the stainless steel cookie sheet that I use that I just love.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's $27 for 2 sheets and 2 racks on Amazon. So I'll send you that link as well. So I'll send it to your email. So that way you can, or I can put it in the comments, whichever one, but yeah.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, either way is fine. If you want to send me links to stuff, I'll put it up too. And that way I know you have a client coming up right after this. So,
Yeah, I actually would love to just send you links to my favorite ones that we talked about, like the Extrema, the carbon steel, the cast iron, all these different things. I don't know if you can hear that outside. I don't know what's happening out there, but it's really loud. So I'm sorry if
it's
everyone's getting distracted.
okay. Don't worry. It's live. They're getting to
It's
see
live,
our real
exactly.
lives and everything. Well,
Exactly. We're not perfect in real life, right? So, yes, I will send you the links for those. So that way people can have, great like clickable links to just be able to check out the stuff I was talking about. And, yeah. So.
that's great. And so Kelly, I'll give you one last question, and then we've got to like wrap things up. Kelly says, how do you get things to not stick when using no oil on stainless steel cookie sheet? Do you put parchment paper on it, and are you okay with parchment paper?
Yeah. So I use unbleached parchment paper is what I'll use. Or I'm personally okay with a little bit of oil, like avocado oil, like I mentioned, is fine, heated at higher temperatures. So, and I don't use oil all the time, but sometimes when I am using a stainless steel, I'll just coat a little bit of like maybe a little bit of olive oil or something, and I'll just use that if it's something that's going in super quick. But typically, what I use for nonstick, I will use the unbleached parchment paper, and it works like a charm.
And I love it, and I buy it on Amazon pre-cut, and it is a luxury
Oh,
that does not stop. I
I
will
know. I do too. Yeah.
like it's
So
one of
easy.
those things that it's like I tell Cheryl she can't buy like cake mixes, like even if they're vegan and whatever, because I'm like they just measured things. No,
Yeah.
we're not
Like
buying
not.
that. But that's the one thing I'm like they cut it for me because it's all then it's all stacked up so neatly, and I don't know. I'm getting ready to order some more. So,
Oh, I love it.
and Stephanie's saying, does Dr. Peacock have an Amazon storefront? If you go to stephaniepeacock.com, and I don't remember what is it under? Is it under shop or recommendations?
Yeah, it's under shop. I have like all kinds of recommendations. I don't actually have a cook one up yet. So I actually have been like contemplating creating an Amazon storefront because I feel like I'm always, I come on these shows and I talk about all this stuff and I feel like it'd be so easy to just be like, you can just go to my storefront and just go check it out. So that's great. It's a good little kick in the butt. I should totally create one. So I think I will. And hopefully by the next couple shows, I'll have something so I can direct people there.
And if you need some help, talk to me and we can meet to the side. Because, like, for the store, you have to be an Amazon influencer, not just an associate. And I can help you with that, though. I can totally help you if you're not already.
Oh my God, I'm not. Yeah, I haven't even started the process or anything. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Thank you. That's wonderful.
We can do that. And I can even, on mine, while you're waiting to get approved, not that you have to use it in any other way, if you get all the things that you give me, I'll put on a little special
Oh,
section
that's great.
so that then they know
Okay.
it's recommended by you, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. That's wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. And 21st Century Homestead she's been using banana leaves for parchment paper. That's
Oh my God.
awesome. And I know you can get them in the Hispanic market and usually the Asian market too in the freezer section where I am.
Okay, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. I love. See, that's why I love it. These shows are awesome. Not only because I get to talk with you and your awesome audience, but like I learn things. Every time I'm learning a new product or something that is just so cool. Wow.
No, and we're just so happy to have you. And people have said so many wonderful things about how excited they are that you're on every month. So thank you for giving us your time and your wealth of information, and just know how appreciated you are.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Kathy. I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate your audience. I genuinely look forward to these shows every month because it's so much fun, and
Yay.
everyone asks great questions, and it's a good learning experience for all of us. Really, like I'm still learning stuff. So thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be in contact with you, and we'll figure out the next fun topic for the show. We'll just
I'm
keep going.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should do like things you bake in the oven. These we pretty much did mostly things you do on top of the stove.
Yeah,
Because
I
then we
guess
can talk a little, I know some of the cookie sheet stuff will be repeated, but then we can really get more into the minutia of ceramics and metal baking dishes and stuff like that, and silicone again. Does that sound okay?
absolutely. That's a great one. Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. Well, have an amazing rest of your day, everybody. And thank you, Doc Steph, for being on here, and we'll see you next month.
Yay, sounds great. See you guys
Okay.
then.